Nintendo, you just can't do these things. We were expecting an announcement of a Nintendo Direct for March 26th, March 25th, and 24th. Came and went. You gave us no knowledge that a Direct was coming, and then the morning of the 26th, you just drop a Nintendo Direct Mini onto us. And that's what I'm here to discuss. This is another reactions video detailing the Nintendo Direct Mini that aired on March 26, 2020. And I feel like it's been a while since we've had a Direct Mini before. I mean, it's been quite a while since we've had just a Direct in general. I'm not counting like the Animal Crossing and the Pokemon Direct. We did have the Indie World last week that I do have a video on if you want to check that out. Kind of those discussions, what those games look like. But starting off, we had a pretty lengthy trailer, I'd say, for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. It has Shulk and his voice actor, and he has like a lot of yelling, I felt like, in the trailer. That was kind of funny. But there's some new things. It has a new epilogue called Future Connected. One thing I thought was kind of weird, they talked about how the menu and the battle HUD were easy to use and easy to navigate. I thought that was just kind of like a weird thing to highlight. They also mentioned that some music had been recorded and that it launches May 29th. So we have a date on that. You can pre-purchase that on the eShop today. Then there's a Definitive Works set that also has an art book as well for if you want the physical edition of the game. But this is something I've never played. I haven't really seen all that much of Xenoblade Chronicles, either it be the original Wii game or X on Wii U, or even Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that was on Switch. I just haven't seen anything that really makes me want to go out and grab this game. There's a lot of beautiful kind of vistas they show in the trailer that I really quite like. But other than that, like, there's nothing really that got me to be like, yeah, I really care about Xenoblade Chronicles, which I guess maybe they have the last laugh, because I do think I have a Shulk amiibo. I think I bought that when like amiibos were like pretty high, and I saw it in stores and it was like the only one. I was like, all right, I'm buying this. So I do have a Shulk amiibo, so I guess that means I'm just a Xenoblade Chronicles super fan. So what do I know? Anyways, moving on, we had 3 game announcements, or I guess technically a lot actually if you want to count them all. But we have Bioshock the Collection, Borderlands Legacy Collection, and the XCOM 2 Collection coming to Switch. All of them coming to Switch on May 29th. So what you're getting with that is the Bioshock Collection, which is Bioshock 1, Bioshock 2, and Bioshock Infinite, which are fantastic games. I do have some post games coming and not yet posted about the Burial at Sea and the base game of the Bioshock Infinite saga. You do also get in the Borderlands Legendary Collection, you get Borderlands 1, 2, and the pre-sequel. And the XCOM 2 Collection, I believe, is just XCOM and its DLC that I think is pretty robust from what I've heard. I thought this was kind of weird. I mean, I like the trailer. I think how they announced it was pretty cool. But all of them coming on Switch on May 29th, I feel like that's like a lot. I mean, you've got 6 shooters. I mean, well, I guess you're kind of like an RPG when you're kind of in like the Borderlands thing. But I guess I just would have wished they would have spaced these out a little bit. And I do believe they are getting retail editions. Just be interested to see what is all on a cart and what is all needing to be downloaded. I may actually buy Bioshock the Collection on Switch. Hopefully they're not like, oh, only Bioshock 1 is on the cart, and then they put 2 and Infinite download only. I don't know. I would love for them to be all in a cart, but I just don't see that happening. But you never know. We'll have to see. Next up, number 3 is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. This game's been out since late last year, middle of last year, maybe it's like August, September kind of game. I can't really remember. But they're advertising the Shadow of Doom DLC, which features the Fantastic Four. So this is available now. I think it was kind of maybe just a shadow drop of an announcement. I'm not really sure. I don't know the times of the expansion releases. It does look like this was perhaps the final expansion of the expansion pass. So barring any other future announcements, this is probably the last piece of content that Nintendo and I believe it was Team Ninja were putting out for Marvel Ultimate Alliance. So this would be the last we hear of that probably. Next up is a kind of an unexpected Capcom game. I feel like I've seen something about this game before, but it's called Shinsekai. I think that's how I'm saying that right. Into the Depths. So you're a character who's the last of the human race. It's a Capcom game, as I had mentioned. So it had a lot of Song of the Deep vibes, which kind of gives me this. It's like a 2D underwater game where it's kind of like a Metroidvania. I know some people hate that term, but I'm going to use it. They mentioned that there's like a jukebox mode to change audio filters. But pretty much everything I saw, it looked pretty cool. I think it's just out on Switch today. Kind of got shadow dropped. But I would assume it's coming to other platforms that I'm not really sure of. But yeah, that game's available now. Might go check it out, but there's a game coming out very soon that I might actually go download. Next up, a game I do not have, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Animal Crossing has just kind of always been a series that I just never really got into. So I never really feel like... I never really get excited about Animal Crossing. I mean, in a way, I've never like played an Animal Crossing. I've played some of the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, the iPhone game. But other than that, like I've never played a traditional Animal Crossing. So I can't really say that I don't like it per se. But there's nothing that really screams to me that like, man, I really want to play this. But they just kind of talked about the update that came out at launch is the 1.1.0 update. There's a bunny named Zipper that's going to be coming to your island, and it's for Bunny Day. I assume that's just around Easter. Not really sure. Probably. But Zipper has hid all of these eggs around the island. If you collect a whole bunch of them, you can, I guess, get free stuff in the game. I'm not really sure. But the event is April 1st through 12th. And it is a free event. And another free event coming later next month, it is Earth Day. It's an Earth Day event. So that's kind of cool. I like them doing kind of these seasonal events for Animal Crossing and New Horizons. I think that's neat. Kind of keep players playing, even if there wasn't a ton of incentive, to just want to keep paying off your loan. Now you have more things to come back and do. So next up is Good Job. So it started off by saying something like now hiring. So I actually took a look at this game on the eShop, and it looks like it's actually published by Nintendo. And I apologize, I don't have too many other details regarding like developer, publisher, kind of how this game came to be. But I really liked how it looked. So you're kind of like a black and white, not really a stick figure, but more of a rounded, I guess, kind of figure. Like you kind of see those characters in like Portal, like the Portal lore and Portal cutscenes. You kind of see them around like little office workers. But you kind of do different tasks. Like they showed some where you're like mopping or like taking out the trash or something like that. But then another one was like, oh, this projector went out. Like, no, now you got to go get a projector from another room. And like, you can like carry it throughout the office and try to get it there in time. Or like they showed it like just like smashing through a wall, smashing through rooms, like just knocking people over just to get this projector in another room. It seemed like a pretty creative puzzle game. And I would probably say that's probably the most excited game I saw out of this Direct Mini was probably Good Job. So if I had to mark a top 3, I did that for the Indie World, so I thought I might do a top 3 for this one if I don't forget. I would probably say Good Job is probably number 1 that I saw. But next up is Catherine Full Body, which is a remix version of the original game Catherine that was out on PS3 and Xbox 360. Maybe it was on PC, I don't remember. It's currently on, I want to say PS4 and maybe Vita at this point. I think it came to those consoles like in September of last year. But the Switch version is finally coming out. I did not write down the date for that, and I already forgot. Let me see if I can find it real quick. July 7th. So July 7th, Catherine Full Body will be on Nintendo Switch. I think there's also maybe like a collector's edition or some physical goodies if you get the game physically as well. Next up is a game that I really enjoy. Curtis and I talked about it on an episode of Crossplay. It's an update to Ring Fit Adventure. This time there's a rhythm game mode with 17 music tracks, including music tracks from Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, and Zelda Breath of the Wild. The Mario Odyssey track being Jump Up Superstar. That was kind of like what led the trailer with the music rhythm game kind of such. There is a new female voice option for the ring, as well as some language options. I think like French and maybe some other languages. There's also a new jogging option, so if you just really enjoy just jogging in place, I guess, gives me like Wii Fit deja vu of like running around the island or whatnot. But that update is also available today, so that's pretty exciting. I've already got the update downloaded. I have not tried it yet, but I'm really willing to want to get back into that and try out those new updates, get that new Mario Odyssey song. I'm not really too big on the Splatoon music, honestly. But yeah, it's cool. That's probably my number 2 announcement of the Direct Mini Ring Fit Adventures new update. Next up, I'm going to mark this as the most forgettable game in the Direct Mini, which is King's Bounty 2, which is a tactical RPG that's available coming later this year in 2020. I just wrote sure next to my notes. That's really all I have to say about that. It's kind of like gives this like hex kind of tactical, maybe strategy RPG kind of game. Apparently King's Bounty was an old series, probably on PC. They're bringing that to console with King's Bounty 2. So if you're excited for that, please be excited. Next up, one thing I did not expect to get. So a lot of these announcements so far have just been third-party announcements. Like we had Animal Crossing, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and we had a little Ring Fit. But the next thing being an update for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which they announced that I guess maybe some of the DLC has been pushed back due to kind of things going on in the world right now. But it's an ARMS character. Will be the next character, and they said the character will be announced and released in June. So did not really expect an ARMS character. I want to say it's Springman or Ribbon Girl or whichever one is an assist trophy in Ultimate. So I would assume whoever that one is probably not going to be that character as the ARMS character. Maybe it might be the other one, depending on who it is. But yeah, just was kind of surprised we got Smash Bros. Ultimate news, but more coming in June. They probably won't talk about it until then. Also, to double down on the ARMS news, there's an ARMS game trial today, only for Nintendo Switch Online members. You can play the full game from March 26th to March 26th to April 6th. So you can actually get in that starting today. I think they've done this before with ARMS. I think they've really kind of stopped updating the game. Like I knew they had some like big season plans and stuff like that. And I think it still shows up on the Nintendo Versus like Twitter account of like maybe there's still events happening. But was kind of surprised to see them kind of double back on this game from like year 1 of Switch. Next up, we have Bravely Default 2. This game was announced at the Game Awards just in December of last year. Had a pretty long trailer introducing the characters and the world. Really does have those Octopath Traveler vibes. It's using the Brave or Default commands. So like Default would be more like blocking. I assumed Brave is more offensive. I want to say Curtis talked about these kind of mechanics at some point over our podcast that I can't really remember. But the other big announcement is that there is a demo available today, and the game releases later this year in 2020. Next up, we had 51 games announced. This is Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics announced. So they ended up going through every single one of the 51 games included. And so these are like billiards to chess to checkers to mahjong to anything you can think of. Solitaire, spider solitaire. I don't know if like poker was in there. I can't remember. They did mention that some of these games were 4 players. Some of them were online. That is coming out June 5th. Yeah, I actually thought this game looked kind of cool. There's it's just a ton of mini games that, you can kind of just jump in and mess around with. Of course, I don't plan on picking this up, but I think it's a cool little option, just to maybe have on your Switch. Maybe not get it physically, but just to always have it on your SD card or on your thing. If you're sitting in a waiting room, have some kids, have some other people, you're just kind of waiting through something, you can play a few of those little games. They understand, what billiards is, some other people who aren't really gamers, but that's kind of cool. Next up is a game that looks a lot like Splatoon, in my opinion. It's a game called Ninjala, which I think this was from Gung Ho Entertainment, and they've done some multiplayer, I think like free-to-play stuff before. But this is a melee battler. You're like chewing gum to unleash attacks, if I'm reading that right. It's a 4v4 multiplayer game. It's free to play, coming out March 27th. But I mean, the reason why I say it looks like Splatoon is like just the character models and just kind of like the building and the lighting and the signs and all that kind of stuff just really kind of looks like Splatoon to me. Maybe that's the vibe they were going for. Maybe they weren't going for that. I'm not really sure. Next up, we had a pair of Star Wars games announced. Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is announced and available today. I feel like this wasn't that big of a surprise because we had known that the PS4 version had been coming to Jedi Academy had been coming to PS4 for maybe about a week or so. So it wasn't a big surprise to see that game is also available on Switch. Did also mention that Episode 1 Racer is coming soon. I always loved that game back on Nintendo 64. They did also mention Battle Online with 16 players in Jedi Academy. So if you want to fight with some other Jedi and Sith, I guess, in Jedi Academy, never played the multiplayer of that. But you can do that with your friends on Nintendo Switch. And we are down to our last two main announcements and a sizzle reel. But first, one of these announcements is Panzer Dragoon Remake. As a timed console exclusive, launches today. This was a Sega Saturn game that everybody loved. I guess there's already been announced that they're going to see if they can remake Panzer Dragoon 2 or whatever that game was called. Whatever the follow-up to Panzer Dragoon was, they're going to see if they can do that one as well. It's a timed console exclusive, launches today. I don't know. It looked fine. Looked like Star Fox. Works for me. Sure. Next up, we do have a big old sizzle reel, and it wouldn't be a Nintendo video or a Direct or Indie World or something without content coming to Nintendo Switch soon. So we're just going to run through these real quick. Trials of Mana, it's been announced. I think it got announced at the E3 Direct last year. It's coming April 24th. I think that's also coming to PS4, maybe Vita. I don't know about Vita, but at least PS4. Fuser is coming fall 2020. This is the new Harmonix game. Elder Scrolls Blades coming spring 2020. We've known about that for a while. Warhammer 40,000 Mechanicus coming May 2020. Vigor is a closed beta coming April 9th. Burnout Paradise Remastered coming 2020, that's kind of a big deal because it's an EA game, and EA really has nothing to do with Nintendo Switch. But granted, it is a remaster, but I mean, at least they're putting something out on Switch. Next up, Saints Row 4 Re-Elected coming March 27th. Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 coming June 30th. Mr. Driller Drill Land coming June 25th. And Minecraft Dungeons from Xbox Game Studios coming spring 2020. And last but not least, I was kind of excited. I was like, what are we going to get? Okay, after the sizzle reel, there's usually something else. And that something else is new information on the Isle of Armor, part of the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass. I wish I was more excited about that. I'm not really a Pokemon guy. I'm sure some people are excited, even though I know people are kind of jaded on Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I think there's people that like it. Obviously, it sold really well. But I do know that there's a lot of hardcore fans that didn't really care for the game. But yeah, it's new information on the Isle of Armor, which is the first expansion pass. It's coming at the end of June They talked about the Cubfu Pokemon. If I wrote that down right, Kubfu. That sounded, probably shouldn't have said that. Cubfu Pokemon. He's a like a cub that does kung fu. So he has an evolution, which I did not write down the name of. I want to say there's these two towers, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. One was like darkness, and the other one was water. So it wasn't like light or dark or, you know, water or earth or something. It's just darkness and water. I always thought that was kind of weird. But you can learn 2 different moves depending on which tower you go to, and it's like one of their like big special moves, like powerful moves, whatever Pokemon stuff is. But that was it. That was the final announcement out of this Nintendo Direct Mini. So I understand why they called it Nintendo Direct Mini, because I think if they would have come out and been like, hey, guess what? Nintendo Direct coming March 26th, and then this was what they released, which it is kind of confusing because Nintendo Direct Minis, when I trying to remember when they did it, was like 15 minutes, maybe tops to 20, but this was like a 30-minute video. And usually like normal Nintendo Directs are like 30 minutes, sometimes like 30, 35, 40. So I actually thought this was kind of surprising they did mark it as the Nintendo Direct Mini moniker, but I actually think that was a good idea. While you did have some announcements like the Smash Bros. Ultimate, ARMS character announcement, like the Ring Fit Adventure announcement, like those are like first party Nintendo things. A good job, I think, would have done really well in a Nintendo Direct. I think that probably was a good idea to put this mini moniker on it, because I think there would have been a lot of people upset if you kind of hyped up saying, hey, guess what, full new Nintendo Direct coming. So I know there's a lot of people that talked about, man, is Nintendo really going to go through like into their new fiscal year without a release date of anything? Then they announced this mini, and then they're like, yeah, they still haven't announced anything for like a solid date or what their new projects are. We do know some things like Bayonetta 3 and, you know, of course, Metroid. You know, I'm sure there's some others I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. But yeah, I think that was kind of a little surprising that really looking out this year, there's nothing confirmed first party Nintendo wise now past Animal Crossing New Horizons. So I don't know if we'll get another Nintendo Direct. I mean, there's like, you know, I was going to say in like 3 months was E3, but E3 is not happening. So they might actually just wait till their E3-ish time Direct or event to actually announce some stuff. So we might not be hearing anything else Nintendo related until then. Of course, Breath of the Wild 2, the follow-up to sequel, whatever they call it, to Breath of the Wild. But yeah, those were just kind of some of my thoughts on this. Kind of got me back in a Nintendo mood. I noticed I didn't have a number 3, which if I had to pick a number 3, if number 1 was Good Job, number 2 was the Ring Fit Adventure announcement, I would probably say number 3, probably just Bioshock the Collection coming to Switch. That's really the only thing else I can say. Yeah, I'm not gonna go Bioshock. I'm gonna go with Shinsekai. Pardon me. Into the Depths. I'll say that as my number 3. Bioshock, we've already played that game, even though it's great. Love it. You should play it. Maybe, hopefully, it runs well on Switch. But Shinsekai, Into the Depths, that'll be my number 3 game. But other than that, yeah, thanks so much for listening to this. Stay safe out there. Would love that, you know, I just, these are the kind of videos that I really like to make, that I think I would want to listen to, just kind of like some in-depth talk of it, you know, just having the logo in the background, just having this video on, you know, quote unquote video on in the background, just to listen to some talk about video games while you're playing a game or doing something else. These are the kind of things that I really like to listen to, and just that kind of content I like to see. So let me know if you enjoyed this. I'm always open to criticism and feedback and such, but hopefully we'll maybe get like a state of play coming soon for PlayStation. You know, we had the Mark Cerny talk that wasn't really that great. But until next time, stay safe out there.